Okay, so let's dive right in. When you think about it, how in the world do scientists keep track of every single living thing on our planet? I mean, we're talking about millions upon millions of species. Well, today, we're going to explore the grand filing system for all of life. And that right there, that really gets to the heart of it. Every single organism, doesn't matter how big or how small, it has a place. And we're about to take a tour of that incredible organizational chart of life. You see, before 1969, things were, well, messy. Scientists had a really tough time trying to sort all the different organisms. But then Robert Whittaker came along, and he proposed this brilliant new system that brought some much-needed order to all of that beautiful chaos. So where do we even begin our tour? We have to start with the originals, right? The true pioneers of life on this planet, the kingdom Prokaryota, which you might also hear called Monera. These are life's most ancient architects. Now, the most important thing to get about this first kingdom is that their cells are prokaryotic. Think of it like a studio apartment. Everything's just kind of floating around in one big room. The DNA isn't neatly tucked away inside a special office or a nucleus. It's a super simple design, but hey, it's incredibly effective. So let's take a closer look at their blueprint. First off, they're all single-celled, totally microscopic organisms. As we said, no nucleus. And their cell wall, their protective outer layer, is built from a really unique material called murin. You won't find that in any of the other kingdoms. And who are the big stars of this kingdom? Well, you know them. Bacteria, of course, and cyanobacteria. These are the tiny, unseen powerhouses that are constantly working behind the scenes, shaping our world in ways we can't even begin to imagine. Okay, time for our next stop. Welcome to Kingdom Protista, which I like to think of as the catch-all drawer in life's big filing cabinet. If an organism is kind of complex but doesn't really fit in anywhere else, chances are it ends up here. Their whole deal is just fascinating. Unlike the prokaryotes, their cells are eukaryotic, which means they do have a nucleus. But their real defining feature? They're the none of the above crew. Oh, and you'll almost always find them hanging out in water, from a tiny puddle to the deep ocean. And the members of this kingdom are just all over the map. I mean, you've got plant-like algae, you've got the weird and wonderful slime molds, and you even have these tiny little predators hunting in a single drop of water, like the famous amoeba and paramecium. All right, next up, let's talk about the planet's great decomposers, kingdom fungi. These organisms have an absolutely critical job, breaking down dead stuff and recycling all those nutrients back into the ecosystem. So let's check out their blueprint. They've got complex eukaryotic cells, and they're usually multicellular. But here's the key. They're heterotrophic. That's a fancy way of saying they can't make their own food, they have to absorb it from their surroundings. Their cell walls are made of a tough material called chitin. Get this, it's similar to an insect's exoskeleton, and they store their energy as glycogen. Those details are what really set them apart. And of course, we know these guys pretty well. We see mushrooms and puffballs out in the woods, and we rely on yeast, which is a single-celled fungus, every single time we bake a loaf of bread. They are literally all around us. Okay, let's move on from the recyclers to the producers, the very foundation of so many food chains. Welcome to the solar power plants of planet Earth, Kingdom Plantae. So, what is it that makes a plant a plant? Well, they're eukaryotic and multicellular, just like fungi. But here's the massive difference. They are autotrophic. They use sunlight to make their own food. Their cell walls are built from super strong cellulose, and they store any extra energy as starch. And look, when you put them side by side like this, it just clicks. Fungi have walls made of chitin, and they eat other things. Plants have walls made of cellulose, and they make their own food. Fungi store energy as glycogen. Plants store it as starch. Three huge fundamental differences that draw a really clean line between these two massive kingdoms. And the plant kingdom is just vast. It covers everything from those delicate little ferns you see on the forest floor all the way up to the towering pine trees that can dominate an entire mountain range. And finally, we arrive at our home kingdom, the one we know best, right? Let's talk about the movers and shakers of the world, Kingdom Animalia. So what's our blueprint? Like fungi and plants, we're eukaryotic and multicellular. And just like fungi, we're heterotrophic. We gotta eat. But here it is, the absolute game changer. No cell wall. We also have these cool little things called centrioles that help our cells divide. And we store energy as glycogen, just like fungi do. And that one single difference explains so much.
Plants need that rigid cell wall for stability, so they can grow tall and strong. But animals? By getting rid of the cell wall, we gained the freedom of movement. That's the fundamental reason a tree is stuck in the ground and a cheetah can run across the savanna. It's a simple trade-off with enormous consequences.
Now, the animal kingdom itself is pretty much split into two major camps. You've got the invertebrates, like insects and jellyfish. They make up the vast majority of all animal species. And then you have the vertebrates, animals with an internal backbone, like fish, birds, and, well, us.
Okay, let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture. We've just toured all 5 kingdoms, so let's see how they all fit together in Whittaker's really elegant system. This chart just boils it all down perfectly. You can see the entire logic in one simple view. You start with the simple prokaryotes. Then you move to the more complex eukaryotes, which are then split up based on just 2 simple questions. What's your cell wall made of? And how do you get your food? It's just a beautiful, logical system.
But just when you think we've got it all sorted out, here's a mind-bending fact for you. Scientists estimate that a staggering 80% of all species on Earth have yet to be discovered. We've only mapped a tiny, tiny fraction of the life on our own planet. So Whittaker gave us this brilliant framework for the life we can see and study. But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What about all the life we haven't found yet, hiding in the deepest parts of the ocean or in the soil right beneath our feet? Could a whole 6th kingdom be out there, just waiting to be discovered?